Alright, hello everybody, welcome to the video. Today we're going to be looking at and ranking all the new RORs that dropped in patch 1.3 yesterday, all of the elite cav units for every faction. You see we've got our handy dandy tier list right here. So we're going to start by just going down the list. We'll start with Cathay. Cathay got the ROR Longbows, the Righteous Lances of Wei Jin, and I think they are quite strong. The big thing they get, well, they get a couple of things. First of all, they get ITP, which is nice. It's nice not have such an elite routing off. Guardian is okay in some situations, but the real thing that makes them very valuable is the fact that they have armor piercing. The problem I had with Longbows previously, especially in Dom mode, is that basically they were good for killing Furies and not much else. Now that you have an armor piercing variant, they'll be able to kill Furies, sure, just fine, but now they can also stand up to bigger demons, or they can recharge infantry much more effectively and have a much wider application and become a much more versatile unit. So I think this ROR Long unit is going to be really strong, so I'm going to put them right up here in A tier. Now for Khorne. Khorne's got the Heralds of Khorne's Fury, the ROR Blood Crushers of Khorne, and they have, aside from just the better stats and they get some flaming attacks, their big thing is this ability here, right here, Mantle Immolation. It reduces melee defense and fire resistance in a 35-meter radius. The problem with this ability is that it removes flame resistance instead of applying a flame vulnerability, so it only works against units that already have a flame resistance. And right now in the game, I think there's only one, maybe two units that have it. Like the ROR Zargard has it, and I'm not sure there's much else that has flame resist, so this ability will almost never come into play, really. So, and like, Blood Crushers were already a unit that you weren't taking a whole lot, so having a subpar ability on a unit you already don't want to be taking means you probably won't see these guys a whole lot. So I think we're going to be putting them down here in C tier. Like, you'll probably never see them. Maybe after Mortal Empires they'll have some niche application, or if they change the ability so that it does apply a flame vulnerability, kind of like the Kindle Flame passive for the Lore of Fire. But as it stands, I just don't see them getting a whole lot of play. Alright. On to Kislev. Our Bear Riders. These guys actually kind of surprised me a little bit. So, their whole thing is, first of all, they have magic attacks, which is alright. It's kind of nice against some of the demons to bypass the physical resist, but not huge. But they also have this bombardment right here, the Call of Tor. Think of it like Volkmar's Grand Soulfire. It's just an AoE bombardment centered on them that doesn't affect friendly troops and applies the blinded debuff for 10 seconds. It does reasonable damage, but it's not that great at clearing blobs of infantry, and it's not armor piercing, so it's not going to be doing a whole lot of work for you. So it's just, overall, it's kind of underwhelming, especially compared to something like I said, like Volkmar's Grand Soulfire or any of the Warrior Priests. And the blinded debuff is nice, but it doesn't last very long, so it doesn't have that much impact on a fight. Like, in a melee blob is the most likely place you're going to use it, and that debuff isn't going to last long to actually impact the outcome of a melee blob. And in a cav engagement, the ability just has too long of a cast time to actually apply that to negate a charge or anything like that, so it's overall just kind of underwhelming. So I think we're going to be putting that down here in B tier. They have a little more application than the Khorne Cav. They actually work as intended, but I just think that their abilities are underwhelming. So, on to Nurgle. Nurgle got the Barons of the Bog, our Pox Riders of Nurgle, and these guys are insane. So they have two abilities. They have Miasma of Rot, which restores vigor to all allies in a radius if they're low health, which is fine. Like, late game, that's when you're not going to be needing vigor back to late game, and by that point they'll have taken a lot of damage, and you'll keep your forces fighting at full strength, which is really good for Nurgle because they tend to have very, very long, drawn-out fights. I think that ability is quite good, but the real kicker is the Wasting Sickness. Minus 25% mass, minus 25% base weapon damage, and minus 25% armor piercing damage, which stacks with both Poison, for another 50% weapon damage and AP damage, and the Icon of Eternal Virulence that the cultists have that drops 20% weapon damage. So you can stack buffs to have over 60% weapon damage reduction in a blob. I think these guys are going to make melee blobs against Nurgle completely unplayable. Like, you will never be able to beat Nurgle with Khorne after this unit is on the field. Like, you will never be able to kill units. you can take Corn Warriors down to about 12 weapon strength. It's absurdly powerful how strong of a blob fight Nurgle has with this. You cannot kill these guys in melee. They are insane. I think they are going to be a must pick in several matchups. Their only real weakness is missile play, so against a lot of the demons, they're going to be a must pick, I think. So they're going up here in S tier. I think you'll see them all the time, especially in Dom mode. Just sitting on an objective, you will never be able to remove them. Alright, next up we got the Ogre Kingdoms, the ROR Crushers, the Sky Striders. So all they really get is 20% missile resist and frostbite attacks, and obviously the better stats that RORs come with. And I think that's incredibly underwhelming, especially for a unit that you almost never saw anyway. Like, the Ogre Cav in general isn't very good. Like, it just doesn't tend to do that well into infantry. It trades okay into other large units, but you never really want to pay this much for a Crusher anyway. Like, you don't want to pay for the 18 or 900 variant over just the basic Mornfang Cav. I don't see any situation where you're actually going to want to pay for just Frostbite. And like I said, the missile resistance is kind of nice, but Crushers just don't really do their job of actually, like you can't use them like a normal shot cav to actually recharge infantry and lance them down. They're only really good at dueling anti-large units, which Ogres have a lot of other means of getting rid of large units just by shooting with the Hunters or with Banner Pistols or with Iron Blasters. Like, there's so many other tools they have to do that job, so I don't think these guys are going to see a whole lot of use. So I'm going to put them down here with Khorne in C tier. Alright, on to Slaanesh, and we have the Eternal Entourage, the ROR Heartseekers. It's another one that's kind of interesting. It's not super interesting. It's not super overwhelming. They have Perfect Vigor, which is nice, but Slaanesh units don't tend to stay on the field that long. They're pretty squishy. So, Perfect Vigor I doubt will actually come into play a whole lot. That said, Cav, they do tend to run around a lot, so maybe they'll help a little bit. But the other thing they have is Obsessive Adoration. It's an AoE buff for nearby lords or heroes. Gives them 20% weapon damage, 20% AP damage, and 14 melee attack. I don't think this buff is all that good. Most of the characters you have aren't going to be running with your Cav that much. And the ones that do usually don't need the buff. Like, Slaanesh is already really good as far as characters are concerned. Like, their characters already have exceptional damage output. And, like, you don't need this for, like, dueling with large characters. Like, you already are exceptionally good at killing single entities, so I don't really see a whole lot of application for this ability. I think it's going to be overkill most of the time. Like, your characters already kill things for the most part, and anything that your characters can't kill, you can just surround with Seekers, and Seekers or Heartseekers will just destroy single entities anyway. So I don't really see a whole lot of application for these guys, unfortunately, which is a shame because I like Heartseekers. They're pretty cool. So unfortunately, I think the Heartseekers have to go down here in probably, I think they have a little bit of application, maybe with a Chariot Blob, but I don't think I want to see a Chariot Blob either, to be perfectly honest. But if you were going for, like, I don't know, maybe double Cultist on... Can Cultist even go on the Chariots? Not, if you went for, like, double Aluris on Seeker Chariots with a Herald on a Seeker Chariot, and we're just buffing up the Chariots, that could be... Maybe that could be an angle, but I don't see them having a whole lot of application, so, yeah. I think they're going to be down there in B tier. And finally, we have Zinc with the Knights of Immolation. I love these guys. I think they're super cool. I love Doom Knights. Okay, so the main ability they get is the Searing Torrent. It works kind of like a rock drop from Pterodons, where it's just they drop a bomb, usually on an infantry unit, and it does excellent damage. It will rout off lightly armored units most of the time in one shot, and it still does excellent damage to armored units. And you get 5 charges of it. You have to be in melee to recharge it, but still, having 5 charges of it is absurd. They can just get continuous value, just continuously nuking out, usually missile units, over the course of a game. So I think these guys are going to be quite strong, especially against, like I said, missile factions where you need to rout off backline units very quickly. So I think those guys will see quite a bit of play, especially against factions like Cathay, maybe Kislev, where you need to rout off those missile units as quickly as possible. Yeah, that's our list. That's how strong I think the ROR is going to be. This is all for Dom mode, by the way. I don't play a whole Dom land battle, so this is all how much application and power I think they'll have in Dom mode. Alright, Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed or if you found this insightful, please feel free to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching. See y'all next time.